So, hello, welcome back. And now we are in Colombia on our group flight on the Colombian tour. And with me here in the chat, Brennelt and Jeremiah. Guten Abend.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening to all.
So we've just been discussing, while the stream intro was running, what approach we're going to fly at our destination. And we realized that the boundary is very close to Venezuela. So that's why you only have approaches runway 07. And but that means a little bit tailwind on a short runway. And then I said, well, maybe we could try a circling, because on the approach chart it says circling is available at 1500 feet. But that would mean that you're not allowed to cross the river, because the boundary to Venezuela is right at that river. But maybe that's still 2.5 miles, 3 miles, and that would be enough to fly circling. So I'm going to try the circling. If it doesn't work, I'll just go around and try again for the 07. Mr. Stimcat, hello. So you only fly, okay, right? Yeah, the fly-by-wire is fine to start out. An XPS 2809 is joining. Thank you much for joining. King Creed, hello to you. Yeah, so you can start out with this aircraft. It's a very nice, you know, free add-on that's already very good to learn the A320. So you don't need to get the Phoenix. And then once you are happy, you know, with it, and you think, you know, you may want to enjoy some more features, then yeah, why not? Then take the Phoenix. Hello to James.
If someone is completely new at the simulator, I think it's not recommended to start with an airliner. Maybe better try with a Cessna 172 or so.
Yeah, he writes he only flew small airplanes so far, so I think he's knowledgeable about that. Yeah, I think the Airbus is actually not too bad to start. Has some good automation. So Organ Aviator, no worries. Maybe next time. And Peter, hello again. Right. So I don't know why I can't enter the flight number here. It doesn't take my flight number. Everything else is there, but it just won't take it. Okay. So anyways, let's have a look for the weather conditions here. So we have 190 at 7. And let's have a look at what we have here. So departure, so it's going to be 20 for departure, and 20 means we shall fly the November Victor Alpha 1 Alpha departure. There it is. Insert. Oh, hang on, what, Gilend? You mean like if someone already entered Avianca 711, you can't enter the flight number anymore? What? That's a bit weird.
Where? In the MCDU, you mean?
Yeah. I'm not sure if I misunderstood that, but...
No, I can't imagine that.
Ah, because most fly-by-wires are displayed live on the map. Okay, but I'll try a different flight number in a minute. Let me just quickly have a look here at the arrival. So let's have a look at the approach chart. So to approach. Now that's going to be from... Okay, maybe Papa Charlie 401. Let me just have a look where we're coming from. So let's do Kexan. Yeah, let's do Kexan, and then we'll go direct to Papa Charlie 401. Insert. And from there we'll fly the Arnef approach. Yeah. And then the circling. That looks good. So let me try again. So Avianca 712. Nah. Maybe it's just one of those bugs again that pops up from time to time. Yeah. My PC then, okay, yeah. Blame it on the PC, yeah, right. Anyways, let's have a look here. So let's go and load that instant. Yeah, 155 passengers, bit of cargo, 58.60 fuel weight, and that adds up to the flight plan. Fantastic. Fuel. We're supposed to have 7.3 instant. So 7.4. Fantastic. All in. Cool. Let's have a look here. Not now. Okay. So there we go. 7.4. Excellent. So the alternate is Sierra Victor Mike India, and for that we need 2 tons of fuel. So we have about half an hour extra. That's good enough for one missed approach, and then to fly another approach. That's fine. Wind, no, wind request. Cruise wind. Let's do that again here. Fantastic. Cruise wind and descent wind all in now. Fantastic. So one more thing to do. Performance. Now I keep forgetting. I think performance. It's only landing performance, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's quickly look how long the runway is here. So runway is 1,700 meters as well. That's a short runway. So we're gonna go Toga. Config 2. Toga. And then we're good. Right, so one more thing to do. Let's check the CG is 32.9. So 32.9 is 32.9. Back down 0.6 then.
I'm ready for taxi.
Yeah. I'll be ready in a few seconds.
Someone must start first.
Yeah. Have a good flight.
Thank you very much.
So, take the external power off. Gotta get the rest of the items going here. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. So, let me have a look at services. That's all fine. That's good. Excellent. So let's have a look at the checklist. 320 normal checklist. Gear pins covers removed. Fuel quantity 7,400 kilograms balanced. Seat belts on. ADRs enough. And the bar ref is 1009 at 1480 set 3 times. And then we can have a look at the before start checklist. Park brake is set. Takeoff speed thrust 282935 and Toga power. Windows doors closed. And the beacon is on.
It's very less space to taxi here on the apron.
Yeah. Oh, Gilend is also joining. Nice. So XPS2809, Gilend is also joining. Nice. And Jeremiah has lined up. So it seems like he has a different scenery to us. Hayden, hello to you. How are you doing?
We have to do a big backtrack here today.
Yeah. Are you already pushing back, Brennald, or?
Yeah, I'm about to push him back.
Okay. Then you go first.
Okay. Thank you.
So, as you can see, I'm already again using the mini FCU. And the profile that I downloaded from flightsim.to for the fly-by-wire works nicely. And there's Jeremiah taking off. Nice, he made it. Excellent, excellent, excellent.
Good feeling to be airborne.
Did you use turbo power?
No,
Okay.
I'm not very heavy.
Okay.
Exiting from editing mode. Please wait.
So.
I only have 25 FPS right now and sometimes heavy stutters.
Oh, okay.
Oh, where is he pushing me to?
So, November Victor Alpha, 1 Alpha. Let's have a look. Neiva, there it is. So, we're going to take this departure route. And so we go 2,100 feet, 9.5 from November Victor Alpha, then we turn right. And so we're allowed to do 180 knots for the turn. So that's going to take us a little bit wider. I'm going to take November Victor Alpha in here. November Victor Alpha.
That's a really strange pushback here.
Okay.
Look where he pushed me to.
Onto the runway. Oh, that's...
Almost, yes.
Are you going to be able to turn around? Yeah, you should be.
Yeah, I can do.
Right. So that's all good. That's done. Engine start. Oh. So pushing the wrong way. It doesn't matter. Oh. Yeah, nice sound. Nice. Hey, view, Andre. Beautiful. Nice sounds. Like it. Yeah, I got to turn around on the apron there. I just followed Brennel's lead. I thought, all right, he's pushing this way.
Yeah, maybe it's a procedure for you.
Yeah. Jiffy, good evening.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
Man, the sounds are really nice.
When you do a hard turn while on taxi black box, do you really use differential thrust for this?
No. Only if it's like, you know, slippery on the apron, maybe then. But carefully. But normally if the runway's dry or the taxiway dry, then it should be fine. Okay. Flight control check. Left, right, neutral, rudder, left, right, neutral. Gilent says, I wonder if I make it. Phoenix calculator says no. Oh, really? Even with toga power? After start, anti-ice off, ecom status checked, pitch trim.
Maybe Gillen should offload some passengers.
Yeah, down 0.6. Retro neutral. So I'll get out of your way. Let me just do a U-turn here. Quite impressive turning radius, right? That's not bad, actually. The tire looks broken now. Hang on. Let me just see. No, it's not. Just looked a bit weird. Okay, so we'll wait here until Brendel has taken off. Throw a bottle of whiskey in the tank to give extra, but you need the good whiskey for that. You can't throw in the cheap stuff. That doesn't work.
Using every meter of runway here.
Of course.
Come on, Kevin, get ready.
Yeah, yeah. South America has lots of cool airports. I wish Microsoft would do a world update for South America. Yeah, the sounds are fantastic. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you know, again, it has to do with ground friction here in Microsoft Flight Sim, and yeah, some aircraft actually do a good job, or the little person, and yeah, other aircraft. Yeah, I don't know what the main issue is with that. All right, have a good flight, Reynolds.
Thank you very much. Same for you.
Thank you.
So, Flex 47. Let's see.
So next update should be Brazil. Okay, that's also very nice. Yeah.
Is it announced or is it a wish?
I don't, Optic says they announced it.
Okay.
Octa says gonna hide the good whiskey now. It's too late. Too late to hide the whiskey. There he is, rotating. Ooh, yeah, he used all the runway. Paid for all the runway, he used it.
Was heavy.
Bomberos, I love that. That's fire brigade, but bomberos, that sounds like bombing squad. So radar, predict the wind shear. Then we'll do the cabin. And
what I really dislike in the Phoenix is that I don't have any V1 and VR announcements here.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah,
I already asked him several times, but they say it is not in real. That the co-pilot makes the call-outs and not the
okay.
FMC.
Oh.
And my answer is but in the Phoenix I don't have a co-pilot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they can simulate a co-pilot.
Yeah, that is true.
And I have no time to watch on the instruments. I have to stay on the runway with the eyes.
As a, yeah, I would say that, you know, as an option. Why not? Hey, Flockzeb, welcome. And Alex, where are you from? I'm from Germany, actually, believe it or not. And Daniel, hello. No, we're just taking off. We're just departing. So let's turn here. Right. So, taxi check is flight controls checked, flap setting config 2, radar predictor windshield system on and auto, and then we have engine mode selector normal, and we have the eco memo takeoff no blue. That's the taxi checklist complete. The lineup checklist, takeoff runway is 20 full length, TCAS is now TARA, and the pack 1 and 2. Let's switch those off, and if you could go off as well. Right, and that's the lineup checklist completed. Done everything. Let's go. Let's listen to the sounds.
Oh, there's a 180 knot speed restriction in here.
And here we go, Mantoga SRS, auto thrust blue, thrust set. Yeah, good acceleration there, good power. That's a Neo for you. 100 knots is checked. You want? Rotate. Nice, positive rate. Gear up. Nice. Thrust, climb, climb, out blue, auto thrust. So the first turn, max 180 knots. Now I'm going to pull on the speed knob here and put 180. And we'll leave flaps 2 for the tight turn. Cap Kempt, hello, Cap Kempt. Yeah, I know, it's a beautiful country. And we love the sceneries and the interesting approaches and so on. Absolutely loving it. So nice tight turn at 165 knots. And there you go. There we go, packs are on. As mentioned at the briefing at the beginning, I'm going to try to fly the circling approach. And the interesting thing is that we're going to have to be careful not to cross into into Venezuela on that circling. But I mean, it is written on the approach chart, so it should be possible. So we're going to go speed managed. Now we can accelerate. It's just for the turn. So let me just do that. Autopilot is on. And the mini FC works well. I like it. Flaps 1, speed's checked, flaps 1.
Can you also use the mini FCU with other planes than
Yep.
an Airbus 320?
Yep. You can use the A310, flap 0. You can use it in the 787.
Okay.
There's lots of profiles on flightsim.to. Yeah. Do you think the fly-by-wire is better than indie builds? No, no. I like the indie builds. They're good quality add-ons. are you hyped for the Cola map? It's a bit confusing. There's some people saying or claiming that the pictures that were published up to now, it showed that the resolution isn't really that good on that map. So maybe, I don't know, we have to wait.
What is that map?
It's on DCS, so that's Finland, on the boundary border to Russia.
Okay.
Yeah, Beethoven, yeah, 270 at 7. So let me see, manage speed. There we go, manage speed works now. And if we go have a look again at the approach charts. So here's what I mean. So there is a circle to land allowed for category Charlie aircraft, 1,500 feet height. So that would take us about 45 seconds outbound, maybe 40 depending on tailwind. But we have to remain within that boundary, so we're not allowed to cross the river. But theoretically, it should be possible. So I'm eager to find out. So all the lights out. We'll have a look here. RatNav, secondary. Don't have that yet, so all good.
Welcome
Reynolds,
aboard the
thank you so
Captain
much.
Black Box Duo Channel experience. Could new subscribers please make their way to the first class cabin, where complimentary drinks, snacks and premium flight infotainment will be served. Thank you.
Reynolds gifting a sub to Cap Kempt. Please say a huge thank you to Reynolds for gifting you a sub. That's really kind. Oh, you mean the INI A320. Oh, okay, yeah, thanks for clarifying, Ludo. Yeah, so sorry. So the INI 320 I haven't flown yet, so I can't comment on it. At the beginning, there was a little bit of a drama that they apparently copied some code from another developer, and so I didn't want to get involved in that discussion, and so I didn't try it yet. But it'll come out with SU-15, so once that's out, I think everything's cleared up, and then yeah, I'll try it for sure. Finelight says the Innobles Neo is quite bad. Okay, interesting. Maybe they I don't know, maybe they improve it until release.
Is it a free add-on or a payware add-on?
I think it's free, isn't it? Yeah, it should be free. Daniel, thank you. Thank you.
07, we have 6 knots tailwind.
Thank you much for the info. Have you already landed?
No. I looked at Navigraph charts.
Ah, okay, yeah, thank you.
How much is the tailwind limit for the 320?
Well, nowadays they've increased to 15 knots.
15, wow.
Yeah, but that depends also on the airlines. So there's airlines that only like 10 knots, but in the end, when I left the 320, it was 15.
But I guess it depends on the length of the runway.
Sure, that's
when the
always.
runway is very, very short, and you have problems maybe.
Sure. So when you calculate your landing performance, you would enter minus 15, so 15 knots tailwind, and then you have a look at what your landing distance is.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's always master.
I guess max manual braking will be mandatory for this landing.
I would imagine so, yeah. So landing distance available. It says yeah, full length, that's 1,800 meters. Slow, let's say 0. Approach speed probably 135 knots or something. And the weight for landing currently 65.2. Here comes altimeter standard set. Approach enough. Let's climb 370. That's pretty high though. So we have thrust climb up to 370. And we're going to burn off another 2 tons of fuel. So about 63. Let's put 63.5. Oops. 63,500. runway heading is... So I'm going to go with 252 because I'm going to land on 25. And elevation was it 500? Uh, 160, 170. So that's 170 feet dry. So there we go. So if you go with so low would be overrun. Medium auto brake setting would be just within limits, and then max manual, yeah, you would have to pretty much go max manual.
What is this landing distance required plus 15% for?
That's for the legal requirement. So the authorities, they want pilots on a normal landing to calculate the official landing distance from the aircraft manufacturer, and then add 15% additionals on that.
Oh, okay. Then I'm already over, even with auto brake medium.
Yeah. So I have max manual. In this case, that's the only way you could stop the aircraft within limits.
And max manual braking means I press the brake pedals to maximum.
Yeah. Touchdown, okay. And then maximum brake pedals until you're sure that you're gonna stop in time.
And I do ruin the tires with that.
Well, I mean, you have anti-skid. The brakes will get very hot.
Okay.
But the tires should be okay. It should be. So normally what I would do, I would put medium auto brake, because that way the brakes will activate within 2 seconds after touchdown. And experience shows that way the brakes activate quicker compared to when pilots manual brake. So the auto brake medium will kick in, and then you take over and press fully down on the brake pedals. That should be enough.
And when does the auto braking start? When the nose gear touches down, or
no, the
main gear?
Yeah, both main gears spin up, and I think also the struts have to be compressed by a certain degree, and then spoilers come up and the auto brake will start work. So the medium usually starts within 2 seconds after touchdown, and the low auto brake goes 4 seconds after touchdown. Got lots of questions coming in. So SU-15, I don't know exactly when that comes out. Any route schedule for the next stream, Yunak? Lima, Quebec, Mike. That's Mostar, correct? Very interesting approach into Mostar. Yeah. Bolt landing, base, Gary. Yeah. So Friday, I plan to fly on DCS. I want to get back into DCS with the F-16 because I've got so much nice hardware for the F-16. I'm going to try it out on multi-server, and we currently have a couple of people that are joining now DCS. So what I'm thinking about doing is have one or two of our guys actually do the enemy cap.
Good night.
Yoda, good night.
Box.
You've done 3 early duties. Oh no, I feel for you. Yeah, Yoda, that'd be great. Looking forward to it. Thanks for all the help, Yoda. Take care. Sleep well. No, the 787 does not have brake to vacate, unfortunately, which is a shame, but no, it doesn't. No. Final light, we are on Microsoft multiplayer. We are flying on the European West server. So you have to have data on and then European West active, and then you should see us. Yeah, so Gilend, you know, with the wind that's currently prevailing there, you should be fine with runway 07. I am going to try to land on 25 to do the circling, just out of pure interest, because that looks very interesting, that boundary being so close. However, there is a published circle to land approach at 1500 feet height. So remember that for each 100 feet, you go out about 3 seconds past the threshold. So that would be a maximum of 45 seconds. Now, if you're at final approach speed already, let's say 140 knots, then you are doing about 2.5 miles per minute, roughly speaking. And so 45 seconds would mean just about 2 miles. So turn radius maybe 2.5 miles. But theoretically, that should keep us within that boundary. So we're not allowed to cross the river. So I would argue that the boundary is pretty much middle of the river, as it looks. So we
and
have.
when you see the go-round procedure for runway 07 is already going over the border, so it should not be that big a problem, I think.
That's true. That's interesting. Yeah, I would imagine that in real life they probably have a agreement set up so that aircraft landing are actually, in case of misapproach, they are allowed to cross the border for short periods of time, and maybe even for the circling as well.
But as far I know, Venezuela and Colombia are not that good friends.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, if the misapproach actually shows the misapproach path going into Venezuela, then of course it should be legal. Yeah. Hey Organ, have you tried SimSmart? No, I've not. No. I know you told me last time, right? Yeah, I haven't had time yet to try it. SU15 7th of May, but market pushed again. Okay, last time. Okay, thank you, Lilo. So if everything goes well, it'll be the 7th of May for SU15. But yeah, these things do tend to get pushed out, so just beware.
Have you heard about the patch notes of the next SU?
No.
I saw a video today, and they say they have a complete new memory control system for the memory management, and they promise that this should kick out all the stutters we have right now, especially in the short final and on longer flights.
Okay. Well, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah, because any kind of stutters on short approach are really making everything a lot worse.
Yeah.
And kind of, disturb the immersion as well.
I again had the issue on one of my last flights where I only had 2 or 5 FPS on the short final, and that's crazy to land. And you can't simply steer the aircraft.
Okay. But I have a feeling that something else must be really cause an issue on your PC.
Yeah. Maybe I need to reinstall my Windows 11 and the simulator and everything.
That always takes a long time.
Yeah, I think a week or so at least.
Gable, no, that was with the Microsoft 2024. Yeah. So the 2024 they want to register somehow or certify with the FAA. Yeah. Finelight says he's in the beta. The micro stutters are still happen, but it's better. Okay. Yeah.
Vilenda has problems.
Yeah, should have taken less passengers, he says.
Yeah. Was he able to take off?
Yeah, he managed, but I think now he's calculating the landing distance or something, and
okay,
he's running into the limitations.
It only works with max manual braking.
Yeah.
No other option available.
Yeah. Are you looking forward to Max 2024? I am. Yes, I am. Hearing the comments that they want to try and certify Microsoft 2024 with the FAA, just like X-Plane, you know, as a just a certified simulator, whatever that means. I mean, I don't know exactly, you know, what kind of level of a simulation that requires to be, you know, get a certification from the FAA with that as a training means. But I mean, it sounds promising. It sounds like you know, it's going to have a more realistic flight simulation itself, so aerodynamics, inertia, and so on. Who knows? I mean, maybe it will have a lot more than we have here in Microsoft 2020. Yes. So Gaby, the thing is, max manual braking doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have, you know, the maximum available deceleration force. Max manual braking means that you take whatever you have, right? Be it spoilers, reverse thrust, and max manual braking, to try to get the aircraft to stop as quickly as possible. And so the braking force then will depend, of course, on the grip, so the friction that you are able to create between the tires and the runway. So be aware whenever you have a landing performance calculated with an auto brake setting, the reverse thrust doesn't really change the landing distance, right? Because the set auto brake setting just gives out a predetermined deceleration rate. So when you have, let's say, auto brake low, you have a certain deceleration rate that the aircraft has to achieve, and when you do full reverse thrust, then you don't have to do that much work on the, you know, the tires don't have to do that much braking force onto the runway, which saves the brakes, so the brakes don't heat up as much, but the overall landing distance doesn't change because of that deceleration rate that you try to achieve, or that the aircraft tries to achieve. Now that becomes different.
Where do the landing distance available? Where do they start?
So for the calculation, it's threshold, 50 feet above the threshold. And so normally you would be touching down 300 meters past the threshold. And then you use your spoilers, reverse thrust, and brakes to stop the aircraft. And so
But maybe you don't reach the aiming point there, and you touch down 300 meters later or so.
Yes, that's what you have to. You have to take that into account. So that's why when you have let's say today, for example, you have 1,800 meters of physical runway length available, and the medium auto brake setting has a required landing distance of 1,724 meters. Theoretically, you only have 76 meters to flare.
No.
So that's only 76 meters past the 300, so the big rectangles, right? Usually. It doesn't always add up to that, but normally, you know, 300 meters past the landing threshold, meaning you don't really have much time to flare, right? You would have to take that into account. And so if you flare for, let's say, you know, 3 seconds, and you go past those 76 meters that you have, then you would have to go around.
Yep.
But we've talked about this. So let's say you touch down at the touchdown zone marker, so 300 meters past the threshold. You touch down, and auto brake medium starts to work as it should, and you don't touch the brakes. Now, in the real aircraft as well, just like here in the simulator, you will not use 1,724 meters in that case. You won't. Because there's so many additionals that is required by the FAA or the EASA or any authority. They require you to calculate your landing distance according to certain rules, that people always wonder when they actually touch down nicely in the touchdown zone, so 300 meters past the threshold, and auto brake medium kicks in, and then suddenly they're surprised that they're only using like 1,300 meters. And they're like, well, the calculations are not correct. Well, they are, because it does include many additionals from what the test pilots actually registered when they did their landings. So those additionals take into account things like brake wear, so you don't have the newest brakes maybe, you don't have the newest tires maybe, then you flare a bit longer than the test pilots do. You may be a little bit late, although I mean auto brake activates after a certain time span, but you have these additionals on top of what the test pilots actually demonstrated upon certification. And so that's why when you start getting into the maximum manual braking, then you get close to the test values. All right, but again, just realize that these calculations then mean you are expected to be touching down 300 meters past the threshold and not 900 meters past the threshold. All right, otherwise that calculation is is not going to be helping you. Yeah, oh yeah, and I was okay. So one more thing. So if you use max manual braking and then include reverse thrust, yes, then your actual landing distance will be lower. However, I mean here you already have that included, right? Now, weird enough, that's the thing here. That's why you see these calculators being, well, I mean, although it doesn't change anything, does it? Neither on the auto brake nor on the max manual, because in this case, especially when the runway is contaminated, let's say medium, and then you have no reverse thrust. There we go. Okay, that makes sense. So no reverse thrust on medium braking coefficient. There is a noticeable difference between max manual braking with and without reverse thrust. You see. And that is what I would expect. And that difference will get less and less the better the braking action gets. So that seems somewhat realistic, yeah. And the reason being is that, again, you have aerodynamic braking, spoilers and reverse thrust, and then you have your wheel brakes, so the tires and the friction coefficient on that runway. And the more contamination you have, the less braking coefficient you have, then of course even the max manual landing distance will get a lot longer. And I talked about the story where I was landing in Budapest on reported medium braking action, and the braking action was actually more like medium to poor. And it was just so strange to then finally, and I mean medium poor, just to give you some values here, let's say with reverse thrust, that's 2,400 meters, let's say. Well, believe it or not, that is pretty much what you're going to have. That is pretty much what you're going to use. And the reason why that's so long is because the brakes themselves, so the tires, actually participate very little in slowing down the aircraft, while the majority of the deceleration comes from the spoilers and the reverse thrust. But they're not as effective as the wheel brakes. So that's why the landing distance increases drastically the poorer the braking action gets. And it's a weird feeling because we pilots land like 99% of the time. We land in conditions with good braking action, so either dry runway or wet runway, but very good braking coefficients. So we feel always a strong deceleration force if that's required. But then suddenly when you even go and brief that you're going to take over, I think that light comes on, that decel light comes on if 70% of the required deceleration force is achieved. But if that decel light doesn't come on, it means that your desired auto brake setting is not achieved, and that's an indication that you need to take over manually. All right, so press fully down on the brake pedals. The weird thing is, of course, if you have medium to poor braking action on the runway itself, what you'll notice is that the anti-skid will kick in pretty much immediately, and you'll feel that because the rudder pedals or the brake pedals will actually pump. They will vibrate just like in the car when you have anti-skid activating. You may have felt that at wintertime on a slippery road, and that's exactly the same feeling as you get on an aircraft. So you immediately notice something's wrong, with the braking coefficient, and then you have only reverse thrust and spoilers. And initially, right, the higher the airspeed, the more efficient are the spoilers and reverse thrust. The slower you get, the less braking force those will give you, and so deceleration will actually then decrease as you go down runway, as you slow down. So that whole topic is very fascinating. Also, another thing, when you calculate on the dry runway, it is literally just the demonstrated length. Let's say it's 1,000 meters that was demonstrated on a dry runway, then there will be a 67% additional already on that. So for the airline pilots, it will be said certified is 1,670 meters rounded up. So that will be then your airline pilot landing distance required, and then on top of that you put 15% when you calculate that in flight as an additional. Now if the runway is wet, you already have that 67% additional plus another 15% on top of that as a landing distance required. But what you need to realize is that your margins are getting less and less as the braking action get worse and worse. So, from experience, whenever you have actual reported, let's say, medium to poor land distance coefficients, then I would be very careful in kind of, maxing out your required landing distance to your available. So if I only had, in these conditions, if I only had like 100 meters buffer, I would actually consider maybe diverting and not landing in these conditions, simply because your margins are very minute anyhow, and then these reports get less and less reliable as the brake coefficients get worse and worse and worse. So you have to come to a point where you say, I do not have the margins that I would see necessary in these conditions to compensate for any misreporting or miscalculations with these values. And we know that sometimes runways can have varying braking coefficients, and that has to do with things like rubber deposits on the runway. So sorry, I found out. What do you think? You want to know what I think of the fly-by-wire landing behavior? Yeah, I think it's still the same with this sensitivity of the pitch axes. I think here in the fly-by-wire, the pitch axis sensitivity is just too much. It's not realistic per se. Are there even runways in Germany which are lower rated than good or better? I'm not sure what you mean with good or better, Stimcat. Can you maybe tell me what exactly you mean with that? Wow, I've got 48 F. I don't know what it is with the fly-by-wire mod. It's just, yeah, performance. So the FPS performance is always a lot worse for me. And that's, I mean, we're talking DX12 with frame generation. I think somebody said sometimes if you switch off the sim bridge, because sim bridge you need for the terrain, but I've switched it off now, and no, there's no real improvement of the FPS. Are there runways which are medium or bad for braking? Well, I mean, you get sometimes you get a message in the NOTAMs where it says runway is slippery when wet, or it may say, you know, the last part of runway 25 is slippery when wet. So you have to take that into account as well. Yeah. No, I mean dry runways. Again, the only real, I mean, there are different brake coefficients. Yes. So, for example, grooved runways will have better braking coefficients than, you know, non-grooved runways. But that is not specifically taken into account. I mean, that's just an additional, really. Yeah, and of course, that's why they say slippery when wet, because again, that rubber deposit with, you know, wet, that is obviously, yeah, going to be posing a problem. Yeah, and also, so grooved runways will also behave better in, you know, in rainy conditions, because the rain, so the water will actually then go into those grooves and be drained off, and so there's a better chance for the tires actually contacting or getting better contact with the runway surface. It all depends on the amount of rain that's falling, etc. But yeah, fun lap, enjoy it. Thanks for hanging out. Hearsay, hello to you. Any 320, 310 updates dropped. Okay, so on the beta. Okay. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. So a lot of things in aviation are complicated. I mean, the good thing is there's a lot of, you know, safety buffer added in these calculations.
Box, you already can get very excited because our next airport will be very interesting.
Nice.
Sierra Kilo Victor Victor, if you want to have a look. There
Sierra.
is an interesting VO Alpha approach to runway 05.
Let me have a look here. Sierra Kilo Victor
Victor.
Vanguardia.
Yes.
So, Vanguardia approach. Oh, I was going to say, what's the problem? But it's not straight in.
It's a little offset, yeah.
Just a little offset, not much. Right. Oh, that's interesting. So what that requires you to do is get into a downwind from that position there. Interesting. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
And there's even high terrain, so keep the eye out of the window.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks very, very cool. Very nice.
And the runway is also really short.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Today I tried to install, this morning I tried to install auto ortho, but I don't know, something's going wrong with the download of the initial tiles. So I tried to download the Europe tiles, and you have to pre-download a certain amount of tiles, and then, you know, when you then fly and have the auto ortho running, it will then download whatever it needs as you go along. But for some reason it just did not unzip all of the tiles correctly. So whenever I start auto ortho, it says no scenery is found, or no auto ortho found. So Baby Boeing says, if you remember correctly, EASA allows grooved runway composition on takeoff, but not landing. Yeah, that's definitely not for landing. For takeoff, I've not seen. I mean, if they do allow it, and maybe then it's taken into account for takeoff calculations, maybe they just don't specifically, you know, tell the pilots that it's based on the grooved runway. Hang on. Sierra Kilo Papa Charlie. What? Runway width is only 20 meters? No, you're joking. It is? Oh no. So I think the thing is though, Gilend, I did check the scenery this morning, and I guess it's just a standard runway width. It's more than 20 meters, I'm pretty sure, here in Microsoft Flight Sim. But I agree, in reality, that would be too small. 30 meters would be minimum runway width.
Yeah, maybe in real life they only fly with ATR airplanes or something in that class to this airport.
Yeah. But luckily we're in Flight Sim, so
yeah,
we're good.
It's only for training purposes here.
And entertainment purposes today.
Yeah,
as always.
Yeah.
Cool. So 46, about 40 minutes to go. And what can I insert here? It does have fix info. So if I go Sierra Kilo Papa Charlie and then do a 3-mile radius, that should show me the maximum amount of outbound distance. Then I am actually, let me just change that. Sierra Kilo Papa Charlie 25. Again, 3 miles, and it was 252, I think. So let me have a look here. That is, yeah, 252. So 072 is the outbound. Radial, so that's the center line for the circling later on. Let's have a look. Yeah, there we go. So we come into for the approach, then break off to the north to the circling. It's kind of visual approach, and so that's the only distance I'm allowed to go. Maximum 3 miles, I would say, and that should keep us within the country border. Victor Vamp, is the cockpit model actually realistic? It's better. It's not 100% realistic, no, but it has improved. But I mean, how realistic does it have to be? That's the thing. You know, where would you draw a line? saying, "Oh no, that's just not realistic enough. I'm not going to fly it." I think there are other features and other things that would determine whether or not you would bother installing and flying it. I mean, this is a free add-on, right? So you don't have to pay for it.
I was just looking in Flight Radar 24 on for our destination airport, and there is right now passing a A350 over the airport, which is started in Madrid and destination is Lima.
Nice.
That's a very long flight.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Something 12 hours plus. And they land there in this on this airport with small Embraer jets.
Good night,
and
black box.
with ATRs.
Yeah. Lilo, good night to you. Take care. Yeah. Yeah, but the Phoenix developers actually went into a real A320 cockpit and they used laser measuring equipment, so really high tech, to completely, measure everything correctly, 1-to-1. So no, the Phoenix Airbus is not a Neo. No, it's a CEO. No. So I think it would either be a 320 211 or 214. Now, these, don't ask me about the differences there. There's some people here that know, but I don't know that. You can even move the seats in the Phoenix, yeah. Good. What else can we prepare? Let's put it in. Let's have a look. So we're going to fly RMP approach, although let's put in the VOR as well as a backup. So Papa Tango Charlie. So RATNAV, Papa Tango Charlie. I've already set everything for the visual circling. On the progress page, however, let me just put in Sierra Kilo Papa Charlie 25. And then performance. Let's have a quick look. So 270 at 7. 33 degrees. And 1005. Oops. And minimums for the circling is going to be 1680. We'll do a config full approach. Auto brake set, RATNAV. Cool. Well, that is all set.
Black box, while you have said RMP, I got something in my mind. I have here, have you also here they closed an airport in, I think, Lithuania, because this airport only has RMP approaches and they have a big problem there with GPS jamming. So airlines are not able to land there with a automatic approach.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, if the weather conditions are such that you have cav okay, maybe then you could, fly visual at the end. Yeah, that's it. And I remember that we had some discussion some time ago saying, well, what happens if you suddenly don't have ILS approaches anymore and you don't have any VORs anymore, so that you only have RMP approaches? Sounds great, doesn't it? But exactly then what happens when suddenly you have GPS spoofing or GPS jamming? Yeah, and that's it. Yeah, no more possibility to fly the approach. Yeah. So yeah, so Mr. Simcat, there's lots of videos on YouTube. I've done some. There's just real pilots, dedicated flight simulators have done really, really good tutorials on how to get everything running cold and dark, and then have the aircraft set up, flight procedures, and so on. I mean, let's have a look. Checklist, A320 flows. Yeah, so even I have made a file for the flow patterns, for the flight patterns. Yeah, that's not bad then. So you practice, the ground preparations. Hey Kiko, what did you put in the progress page? So what I put in here, so whenever you're flying a non-precision approach where you don't have an indication how much distance you have to the runway, especially when you're doing like a visual approach or circling approach, I will put in the landing threshold. So we're going to circle today. So we're going to approach runway 07, and then we're going to break off and fly a visual pattern. And so I put in the landing threshold, runway 25, which is this point here. And that helps me then when I'm in the circling, I can glance at that page and then see the straight line distance, not the track distance, but the straight line distance to the threshold, and I can estimate at what altitude I should be to maintain, let's say, a 3-degree profile down, which we call a stable descent path. And so, at 1 mile out, you'll be 300 feet above the ground. 2 miles out, 600. 3 miles, 900. You get the drift, right? So let's say I have about 3 miles to get on final. Then I know I should be about 900 feet above the ground when I turn onto the final, which means I will start my descent earlier on the base turn, trying to match that profile at the end. Yeah, so imagine that you have decommissioned VORs and ILS on that airport, and now you realize you have to reinstall them, but you also have to certify them, and especially ILS systems, it takes a while to get them certified. It could be months and months before that actually happens.
GPS spamming or spoofing is even a LPV approach impossible.
Yep. Because LPV is solely based on GPS.
Yeah.
But it's using it's using a S-bus or G-bus system. So, but in general, it's based on a GPS approach, which has a correction signal. Either at the airport or somewhere near the airport, so that the GPS signals get more accurate. And then you have an onboard system that simulates the localizer and glide slope beam behavior. So as you get closer to the airport, the indications, so glide slope and localizer indications, get more sensitive.
But when they spam GPS, then maybe you have Galileo or GLONASS or something else available.
Well, the thing is though, if the signals from the satellite itself are actually being blocked, then the whole calculations don't work. So, you know, even with the correction signals from the ground stations, it still will not work. So it's yeah, especially with the spoofing, I would say it just simply you have no options. You can't fly it. That's the fly-by-wire have a, yeah, apparently it does have a couple of failures. So if you go to here on that, but it says a full simulation of failures isn't yet guaranteed. So you have some stuff. Let's try fact 2. So FAC is one of the flight augmentation computers. Yeah, it says fault in here. Interesting, but it hasn't got anything there. So if I fail both, we're going to have issues with the... we should have issues with the speed indications, or the indications with green dot, etc. So the specific speeds will disappear. Normally rudder yaw dampening will have an issue. Let's try that. There we go. Goes into alternate law. Speed limit, that's correct. Autopilot remains active. Interesting. Uh-oh. Oh no. No. Don't tell me I messed up the... Oh no. Again?
Why are you doing that?
Because I'm thinking that if I switch that back on again, it'll work again. Hang
Welcome
on.
aboard the Captain Black Box Duo Channel experience.
Is there anywhere I
Could
can...
new subscribers please make
Oh,
their
no.
way to the first class cabin, where complimentary drinks, snacks and premium flight infotainment will be served.
You've got to
Thank
be
you.
kidding me. Seriously, like, what?
Bruno says power cycle them, but I don't know.
Yeah. No, yeah, maybe... Yeah, Bruno's the savior. Thank you so much. It's interesting yet that Bruno says cycle, and then you know, people say, why didn't you know that? Well, the thing is that we pilots are drilled not to do any reset unless it's written in the procedure. And I don't know, does it actually tell that in the procedure down here? I didn't even... No, you see, it's not in the procedure here, so we would not do a reset unless it's written somewhere that we can do it. Or with emergency authorities. So if I say as a captain, I need to do the reset because otherwise we're going to run into, you know, huge issues, and I say that a reset has less risk than continue to fly with that problem. You know, I would justify that reset, but normally, yeah, we would be very careful with any CB resets or any flight control computer resets. In your opinion, fly-by-wire or Phoenix? Well, Kiko, in my opinion, those comparisons aren't fair, and the reason for that is that let's go back to manage mode. The reason for that is that you know, one is payware, the other one is freeware. But if you ask me, you know, which one will give you a better overall experience, then I would say Phoenix, absolutely. But you would expect so because Phoenix costs money. Yeah, Bruno, I don't know if you saw that initially on my first stream today. I had a weird failure today, or issue. I mean, at some point, I found out I couldn't get into the ATC com menu, and then I couldn't get into the ATSU anymore. And then I found out that when I entered values, let's say for example, I want to enter, performance page something. I enter the value, it didn't show up until I changed the page and went back to it. Then it would show up suddenly. So then I went into the menu here, maintenance menu with FMS reset, and I thought, well, shall I try an FMS reset? And I expected if I press it, I would get a prompt saying, confirm, like, are you sure you want to do that? But there wasn't. It just reset the whole FMS, and everything was gone. And then I had the problem that I tried to get everything programmed again. So I put in, Cologne to Innsbruck, and it didn't populate the fields. However, then I just went back to flight plan and then back to init again, and suddenly then it was filled in. So I realized that, okay, there seems to be some bug where you enter values, it doesn't show up initially, so the screen doesn't update, even though internally it has accepted the values. Yeah, that was a really weird bug today. Really strange. Hey, forward, hang on. Did you just not see what I did? So it says, full simulation of failures is not yet guaranteed, all right? So, but there are some failures in here. Navigation, radar, oh, there we go. TCAS, okay. There's the checklist showing up already. Interesting, okay. All right, that resets. Okay, cool. That's okay. Now, I'm not going to touch any more failures, guys, because otherwise I'm going to break something, and I regret it. Yeah, stop messing with it. Good point. Good point. We are getting close to our destination, so... And we do want to fly the... Alright, here we go. We got some... descent error here. How about terrain situation? Terrain seems to be somewhat less an issue today. So currently I would say it's about 7,000. Yeah, 7,000 is safe. So using my mini FCU, I'm going to dial in 100 or 10,000 feet, press on that, and then we've got Mach descent out blue 100. So that works nicely. Yeah, forward, that's the thing. So yeah, the checklists, yeah, they don't show up correctly. How often, hey Mighty Morph, how often do small failures happen in real life? Luckily, rarely. So from my experience, you will run into issues sometimes with, let's say, just out of the top of my head, I sometimes have issues with brake temperature indications. There may be problems with, a bleed system or a pack system, electrical system, a generator failure. But luckily, things like engine failures, flap failure, hydraulic failures, you would normally not run into these failures as a pilot. Of course, exceptions make the rules. So, there will be pilots that have not only had an engine failure, but they will also have had a hydraulic failure, right? So, but knock on wood, right? For me, I've had smaller issues with flaps. I've had electrical issues, smaller ones. And like I mentioned, pack failure. I had once on the 737, I had a pressure controller failure where we had to switch over to manual mode, to recover the cabin, etc. But overall, nothing really, big. So, the bigger issues I've had have always been weather related or passenger related. That's what you normally run into. Luckily, not so much technical issues. Is auto brake max always prohibited? No. So Kiko, you just have to realize that depending on your emergency, you may not have auto brakes available, and then you have to go with max manual braking, or calculation methods actually always refer to max manual, depending on your software that you have. But it does not mean that you can't use auto brake. So when the auto brakes are working normally, you have a long runway, and you decide that auto brake low or medium is the better way to go. Yes, you can use it, unless it says so different in the procedure. Yeah, Street. So the only issue I have with the WinWing FCU right now is the flickering of the displays in DX12 with frame generation. That's one thing. The other thing is that the buttons, so compared to the mini FCU, so here there's very little movement of the buttons itself, so they're not wobbly or anything. With the WinWing buttons, they are a bit more wobbly. They feel a bit I don't know, kind of less quality. But yeah, it is cheaper, right?
Do the buttons of the mini FPU FCU feel like the real one, almost?
Yeah, the haptic, the feedback is more lifelike. Yeah, so the thing is, if they had built, I know they call it mini FCU for a reason, right? Because they don't want these add-ons to take that much space on your desk, all right? I understand that, and so there's a certain philosophy behind it. But if they had produced this with this quality in the size of the of the WinWing FCU, then this would have been a lot better than the WinWing. But they decided to go with the mini version, and yeah, people that obviously are saying I've got big hands, or I just, that puts me off having these small buttons and knobs and so on. Yeah, you see that then may stop them from buying it.
But the size of the buttons looking almost like the real ones.
No. Hang on, let me just show you the WinWing version. I'm going to put the WinWing version right on top. Let me just change the view here. So now you can see the. Just zoom out a bit.
And this is quite realistic.
Hang on. So there we go. So here you can see the size difference between the mini FCU and the WinWing one. All right. So the WinWing, I'm not sure if it's 100% like the real aircraft, but yeah, it's much more realistic with the size. But again, you can see that the buttons are wobbly. It's not terrible. Don't get me wrong, but it's just, and when you turn, right, there's a little kind of play, between you moving the knob and it actually then going into the next notch, while on the mini FCU, there's no play in between the notches, so that's much better with regards to haptic feedback compared to the WinWing one. But again, this isn't bad. I'm just quoting the differences.
What's the price difference of both?
I would say the WinWing comes to about, with shipping, about, let's say, €100. and the mini FCU with shipping will be probably double that.
Oh.
Maybe not completely, but it definitely is a bit more expensive. Yeah. So we set the QNH is, and one thing. So I know, you know, when you have these hardware add-ons come out for flight simming, I'm happy that they are producing these units, and you know, for us flight simmers at a cost point or a price that doesn't kill your budget completely, right? So I fully understand that. The thing is, though, one thing you have to realize is that, you know, there are influencers, right? So even that, I really dislike that kind of, you know, description of a person that, you know, does content, you know, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitch here, and then gets, you know, sent a free copy or at a huge price discount to test, right? The problem is, and I've been there as well, the problem is that you're always biased. Even if they tell you, you know, you can quote your honest opinion. Well, you're not going to do that because you are feeling a little bit thankful for, you know, getting that unit. So there's some things that I find annoying when you watch these hardware reviews, and that's not all of them. I mean, there are honest reviews out there. However, more often you will get a review which tells you something about the unit, and it will tell you how nice it is and blah blah blah, but they will leave out some of the things which can be annoying. And one of the things on the mini on the Windwing FCU is that flickering display when you use frame generation. And I've asked my community members that bought the Windwing FCU how many of them were using frame generation, and I would say about 30-40% are using it, and literally all of them have that flickering display. Now, you can't tell me that none of the influencers, nobody that got a pre-release version of it, none of them noticed the flickering. I just can't imagine that, right? So these are the things that you always have to be aware of, that you know, these reviews have to be, all of them have to be taken with a pinch of salt when they are presented to you. But again, you know, looking at the overall cost structure of these hardware units coming out, I don't know how much profit margin there actually is in that. The competition is there, so you have many, like here, the mini FCU competing now with the or other way around, because the mini FCU was here first. But Windwing, they have been in the market for a long time, and they have produced some very, very good hardware add-ons for the you know, the fighter community, and now they're really taking the step into the, you know, civil side with the Airbus FCU, and they're going to have the EFIS panel on the side. Same for the mini FCU. They are also, the mini cockpit, they're also going to have the mini EFIS control panel at the side. So, you know, I'm happy to see that coming out. No doubt.
Check the weather of the destination airport, please.
Mm-hmm.
So I have landed. I did the 25 approach.
Okay.
It was horrible for me.
Oh. Okay. Thank you for the inspiring words. Now I'm worried. How is it updating automatically, or how do we update that here? let me have a look here. Showers, scatter 17. Oh, that's going to be a very low. Okay, so hopefully the circling. I'm going to try the circling nonetheless, but that could be marginal now. We'll see. Oh, Kiko, sorry. And now I'm starting to understand what you mean. No, so here in the let's go thrust idle descent 5,000. Here in the Airbus, the max setting only works for takeoff. That does not work for landing. Only for takeoff, for the RTO, rejected takeoff. So out of 10,000 feet. Hey, V Chris. Yeah, V Chris. The thing is, though, you know, and as long as people understand, and you know, don't get caught up in that hype and spend their hard-earned money on products, you know, be it software, hardware, whatever, and then being disappointed because, you know, you didn't get the whole truth. No, not automatically. So you can only press down fully on the brake pedals. So when we talk about, you know, max manual braking, that's what it means. It means pressing down the pedals manually, fully down. This thing here in the Airbus, that's only for takeoff, max. So you only have low and medium. Why that? You have to ask Airbus. I don't know. I have not a good answer for that. Good. So we've looked at the calculations. So the approach checklist, bar ref is 1005 set. And then we have seatbelts on, minimum baro 1680, auto brake medium, and engine mode selector is normal, and that's the approach checklist complete. No, I have. So Bonsai, I have not tried the Inbuilt 320 Neo at all. There's that river over there. That's interesting. So that will later on at the airport define our boundary. Yeah, so I mean, if you go here, we don't have a secondary flight plan, but yes, normally when you start when you break off, so you're on your 45-degree break off for the circling, then you would activate the secondary approach for the landing runway, so that you get a correct calculation of your approach speed. And of course for the missed approach as well. Now normally the missed approach, if you're in the circling, means you would stay in this circling area. Let me just get my chart out. So let's say you're circling to the north and you go missed approached here, you would then stay in the circling area, climb up, and then rejoin the original missed approach procedure, unless it says something else somewhere. So here we go, 5,000. Let's go down to 2,100. Descent out magenta, so 5,000 is a restriction right now. I'm going to use a bit of speed brakes. Flaps on. Flaps on. Yeah, V-Chris, I mean, no doubt. So I personally, I found that with the release of Microsoft Flight Sim, things have really heated up with regards to, creating pre-release hype and so on. I'm not saying it wasn't there prior to that. Flaps 2, speed check, flaps 2. But it really kicked up with Microsoft Flight Sim. And they were very clever with the way they went about, you know, the social or the influencers. You know, they got, you know, invited to Seattle, right? Test pre-release versions and then go out flying for real. Hotel bookings and so on. So, you know, who honestly would talk negatively about Microsoft Flight Sim after having, you know, having gone through all that? It's tough, isn't it? Residox, hello. Green with. Yeah, it's rest of drag. Yeah, so that's the best glide, if you like. So that gives you the least amount of drag. So it's the best lift. So it's a well, it's both way. It depends on which way you turn the curve. So you could say it's the best lift to drag ratio, meaning that at that speed your fuel flow is then the lowest. It doesn't mean you get to your destination efficiently or in the most efficient way. It just tells you that at that speed you're burning the least amount of fuel. So that's typically the green dot speed, for example, would be the speed you fly when you fly holding. So final descent 3 degrees out of 3.5, no, 2,100 at Mosno. I can see the runway here already. Yeah, pleasure. So I'm going to put the gear down.
2,500.
It's checked. So we fly the circling in config 3, gear down. And I'm going to use about 155 knots. Alt star. And then, so 45 degree break off. 30 seconds. Turn out downward again. And then you go a beam. Let me have a look. So that is 072. So 342. So I'm going to go switch to flight path angle. Three degree down. I'm going to put 1,700 feet in here. Out blue, 1,700. So we're pretty much there already at the circling height. So that'll be about 1,500 feet height.
Above.
So there we go. Now I've drawn in the exact beam position there. Flight director going off already. So I'm already going to go track. Now, we're not allowed to cross the river, okay, guys? So that's the real thing. Not allowed to cross the river. So I'm going to break off 45 degrees. I'm going to start the chrono. One's doing the level. There we go. 30 seconds. So we're going to be around about 2.5 miles offset. Although that looks fairly close. Not going to lie. We may have to abbreviate the whole approach a little bit, so let's go manual flight. Yeah, I think we're going to have to go a bit freestyle here in order not to cross the boundary there. So let's do that.
Minimum.
Continue, flaps full. And then missed approach 5,000. So now what we're going to do is have a look at the progress page. That's what I meant with 2 miles. Well, that's more like a carrier approach, really. I expected to have a little bit more buffer there. Because we are a beam right now. And we're allowed to go a little bit into the river there. But the border runs right here, middle of the river. So it's like
1,000.
1,000 check, like a continuous turn to final. Landing checklist, ECMO landing no blue. And now normally these approaches, we don't practice them. So military pilots, they will fly these more often. Civil pilots don't. There's the landing threshold, so we could fly a little bit of a base, not much though. And then we have round about a mile final, so we have to be like 300, 400 feet onto final there. And then you have the problem that these turns are so hard to judge at the end. And again, we have like, you know, short runway. And that's what I mean with overshoot. No, we're not going to make it. But you know what? That does look like a 20-meter wide runway. Right. No way. Okay, so go around flaps. Flaps 3.
You can always go
What's right gear up?
If it don't look right coming down. Don't wait until your sideways feet sliding on the ground. You can always go around.
So I'm gonna get out the way from Gilend. I'm not sure what Gilend is flying. What kind of approach?
I think you need to go left to the waypoint PC 401. The missed approach.
Let me just go here now. So flaps 1, speed check, flaps 1. So yeah, I have a feeling that Gilend is also circling. Yeah, there he is. Let me just fly 195 knots or something like that, and then we're going to stop climb at 4,000. So vertical speed, and then I would imagine that aircraft flying here will be more like, you know, turboprop or something, 20-meter wide runways, not really wide enough for a jet.
They fly here with small Embraer jets, black box.
Embraer jets, okay.
Yeah. ER-135 or so.
Okay. So I'm going to insert that here like this. So Udezo on final. 4,000, that's good. So Gilend, what are your intentions now, Gilend? Are you going to start the approach? Okay. Is it okay? I think we have a 5-mile separation. Is it okay if I go from Gikro onto the approach? Flaps 2. Because I think you're behind me there. Or maybe even Mosno. I can even cut it a bit shorter than that. Gears coming down. Flaps 3, speed is checked. Yeah, okay, so since you're still on the outbound, let me just then fly to the final fix. So we're going to enter that nav, performance, activated approach phase. Flaps full, speed managed. There we go.
$2,500.
Is checked. So I stand corrected. I looked at the runway, so I was spawned in on the apron this morning to check the scenery, because it's just standard scenery. And I thought the runway would be kind of normal width runway, as it is here in Microsoft, but it's not. So it is actually a very, very small runway. Landing checklist, eco landing no blue. Now normally you would run the approach checklist again, and this time we can actually set minimums of LNAV minimum 570. Fuel check 39, so that's fine. Now next question is, does the approach button work here? It has a path, 3 degrees, so theoretically it should.
In the Phoenix it worked.
Here it doesn't.
Oh.
Okay, it doesn't work. So we're going to go with track flight path angle. I'm going to go with -3 degrees, and at about 0.2 miles prior I will activate the flight path angle. Then it should work out. And we've got some cross-check altitudes to work with. Here we go, flight path angle, -3 degrees. So 5 miles from the runway is 1785. Mr. Approach said. There's the runway, so 5 miles, 7085. That looks pretty good. Next one will be 4 miles, 1470. Still looking good. And then we got 3 miles, 1158 or 1160 roundabout. Three miles, 1160. Looking good. 2 miles, 845.
1,000.
It's checked. Go manual thrust. Go manual flight. 2 miles. Looking good. So now it's all visual. We don't have parpies either. So what was the problem again, guys, with a narrow runway compared to normal runway? you tend to flare too late. Because I think you're higher up. So you got
100
really
above.
hard landings, exactly. So for me, that means I have good excuse.
400 minimum.
Continue. Right, that tower looks a bit out of place there, to be honest. That looks so weird, not gonna lie.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
Oh, oh, I told you it was so sensitive in the pitch
Five.
axis. Blimey. Oh, right, maximum your braking. Oh, reverses are great. Minus 74? No way. Now that we have another problem, we can't really turn on that runway. Because normally we'd have to be about, how many meters? About at least 30 meters, so probably not going to go and be able to turn that.
Isn't there a turn pad at the end?
I don't think... Actually, not bad. We're actually staying on the runway. GG's.
I had the exact same problem than you, Black Box.
Yeah.
I also bounced a little bit.
Yeah, the Phoenix, although it has gotten better with the latest updates, but yeah, it can still bounce a bit. But the Phoenix, so the fly-by-wire, the pitch axis is just so much different to the Phoenix.
But the brakes are so hard in the Phoenix. I managed to stop before the exit of the runway.
Yeah, that's somewhat unrealistic.
Yep.
Alright, after landings, runway is clear for Gilend.
He's also on final.
Nice. We'll check his landing in a minute. Let me just park here. TCAS off. After landing checklist. Radar. Predictor winch system off. Where is he? Oh, there we go. No, it's just doing one more circle there. No, this airport is not suitable for an A320. No, because of that that small runway. So the width normally, the minimum width runway is 30 meters for an Airbus 320. So Brennelt already checked. So the Embraers actually are landing here. It seems.
Yep, Embraer 135.
No. So it's not limited. Yeah.
The runway width is not an issue when you don't have crosswinds. In crosswinds, you will get big problems, I think. Maybe runway excursion or so.
Yep. Yep.
Renewed our next Tuesday experience.
The boarding requested.
Will this be our next Tuesday experience?
Let's have a look. Maybe.
So just yeah, I can imagine. So we talked about this. So probably if you have to fly a circling approach here, then maybe you would be allowed to, dip into the airspace of Venezuela, because otherwise, I mean, this, even with the Embraer, that's really sporty, and you have the issue that below 500 feet height, your bank angle gets limited. 15 degrees, and then below 300 degrees, it's going to be 300 feet. It's going to be 10 degrees. So. The whole maneuvering below 500 feet becomes very, very limited. And so, any larger runway center-line deviations, you can't really recover. So, Yes, Peter, this is one of the legs. Brennard mentioned that maybe either we have to put in a note that you have to fly this with, you know, some small aircraft, or you know, take it out completely of the Colombian tour. So the PIREP has been accepted. Fantastic.
We could have done this flight with the business jet, like the Longitude, for example.
Mm.
Have you ever flown this one?
I don't think so. Or
It's a very good aircraft.
yeah, same with the maybe the BAE 146. Maybe that's would work here as well.
Yeah, maybe. But then the runway is small as well.
Mm. There we go, Giland coming in. Could have also been a bit harder than normal, but
Yeah,
short
it is
runway.
difficult.
Yeah, short runway. And again, yeah, look how far the wings go beyond the runway edges. So he made the first taxiway. GG's.
Awesome.
You're gonna have hot brakes for sure. Sliding around a corner there. I saw that. Nice. Cool. But thank you so much for joining, Gilend. And same for Brennald and Jeremiah. Thanks so much, guys, flying along.
Okay, thanks. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Good night and have a nice week.
Yeah, Jeremiah, you were right. It's definitely a spicy approach.
Yes, good.
See you next time.
Yeah, good night, Jeremiah.
Night.
Cool, guys. It's midnight. How do we do this every time? We finish at midnight. Isn't that weird? Good. So again, guys, Friday we'll have cargo. Not cargo. We have DCS ops, and then on probably Saturday, maybe a Saturday, we'll do a normal stream again, and we'll see what we can get up to on Saturday. Thank you so much, everyone, for the support with all the new members coming in. Thank you so much. And also thanks for all the resubs. And Street Orc. Sorry, I don't think Street. Did I call you out? I probably forgot. Street, thank you so much as well for your support here. I'll be going with the F-16 because I have some very cool hardware add-ons for the F-16. So I have the throttle. I have the ICP. So definitely going to try that. And the F-16 is a very cool add-on. Yeah, so we installed the newest versions of the server, the DCS server version, and we noticed yesterday already much better FPS. So I was getting about 125 FPS, and Yora was talking about 140 FPS. So are there block versions? No, so I think it's just one version at the moment. But you can get all the details at the Digital Combat Sim website. There you find all of the infos. Thank you so much, everyone. I will see you again very soon. Stay safe. Take care. My dear moderators, as always, big round of applause. Thanks for the help. And let me see. No, I have to get to bed, guys. Thank you so much, everyone. Good night. See ya.